Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, YouTube, and X have all disappeared. Not because they shut down, but because your government decided your country had become too dependent on foreign technology. Sounds impossible? Well, across Europe, that exact conversation is already happening. Governments are funding homegrown alternatives. Developers are building new social networks. Universities are creating decentralized platforms. And policymakers are asking a question that could reshape the future of the internet. Open quote, should Europe own its own digital future? Close quote. This isn't just about apps. It's about power, money, artificial intelligence, national security, and who controls the world's conversations. How to Chapter 1. For over 20 years, the social media landscape has been remarkably predictable. America built Facebook, America built Instagram, America built YouTube, America built X, America built Reddit, America built LinkedIn. Then came China. TikTok exploded, RedNote emerged, WeChat became an ecosystem larger than many countries. Meanwhile, Europe, with over 740 million people, produced almost none of the global social media giants. Not because Europeans couldn't innovate, but because building social networks is brutally difficult. The value of a social network isn't the software, it's the people already using it. Economists call this the network effect. People don't join Facebook because Facebook is beautiful. They join because everyone else is already there. That creates an almost impossible moat. Chapter 2. But then, everything changed. Over the last decade, Europe became increasingly uncomfortable with the amount of influence foreign companies held over its citizens. Think about it. European elections, hosted on American platforms, European businesses, advertising through American companies, European data stored on American cloud servers, European teenagers, spending hours each day on either American or Chinese apps. From Europe's perspective, this wasn't just technology anymore. It was sovereignty. If another country owns the digital public square, how independent are you really? Chapter 3. This is where a new phrase entered politics: digital sovereignty. It sounds boring, but it might become one of the defining geopolitical ideas of this decade. Digital sovereignty means countries want control over their own data, their own AI, their own cloud infrastructure, their own payment systems, and increasingly, their own social media. Europe isn't trying to disconnect from the internet. It's trying to avoid becoming digitally dependent. Chapter 4. So, what are these European alternatives? They're probably not what you'd expect. Instead of trying to build another Facebook, many European developers are trying to build something fundamentally different. Mastodon. Created in Germany, Mastodon looks similar to X, but there's one huge difference. Nobody owns the whole network. Thousands of independent communities, called instances, connect together. It's more like email. Different providers, same network. No billionaire controls the conversation. No single company owns everyone's data. This is called the Fediverse, and it's becoming one of Europe's biggest experiments in decentralized social networking. PixelFed. Think Instagram, without Meta. Created in Canada but heavily embraced by European privacy advocates. PixelFed removes ads, tracking, and algorithmic manipulation, chronological feeds, open source, federated. Users, not advertisers, come first, PeerTube. Instead of uploading videos to one giant company, videos are distributed across independently hosted servers. Imagine YouTube, without YouTube, no central corporation. Communities decide their own moderation. Chapter 5. But here's the twist. Europe isn't only building alternatives, it's also changing the rules for everyone else. The Digital Markets Act and the Digital Services Act have become some of the world's toughest technology regulations. Companies like Meta, Google, Apple, Amazon, and TikTok have all had to change products because of European laws. In other words, Europe may not own the biggest platforms, but it's increasingly writing the rule book they all must follow. Some people call this the Brussels effect. When Europe's regulations become global standards, NAP Chapter 6. Artificial intelligence has made this conversation even more urgent. AI models require enormous amounts of data. Who owns that data? Mostly American companies. Social media isn't just social media anymore. It's fuel for AI. Every image uploaded, every video watched, every comment written, Every interaction feeds machine learning. Europe fears becoming dependent not only on foreign social media, but also foreign AI. That's one reason it passed the world's first comprehensive AI Act, Chapter 7. But can Europe actually succeed? That's where things get complicated. Building software isn't the hard part. Building communities is. Billions of people already use Instagram. Nearly everyone watches YouTube. TikTok dominates younger audiences. Switching platforms means convincing entire friend groups, families, creators, and businesses to move together. History shows that's incredibly difficult. Google tried to beat Facebook. It failed. Microsoft tried. It failed. Even Meta couldn't build a successful rival to TikTok until Reels. The network effect remains one of the strongest forces in economics. Chapter 8. Still, something unusual is happening. The internet itself is beginning to fragment. China has its own ecosystem. Russia is building its own. India increasingly promotes domestic apps. Brazil debates stronger digital independence. And Europe is investing in open-source, privacy-first infrastructure. Instead of one global internet, we may be witnessing the birth of several digital worlds, each with different rules, different platforms, different values. Conclusion. So is Europe building its own social media? Yes, but it's also building something much larger, an alternative vision for the internet itself, one built around privacy, open standards, decentralization, and digital independence. Whether that vision succeeds or remains a niche experiment could determine who controls information, AI, and online communities for decades to come. Because the next great geopolitical competition may not be fought over oil or even semiconductors. It could be fought over something we use every single day, our digital lives. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more deep dives into technology, science, AI, and the hidden geopolitics shaping our future. Because sometimes the biggest stories in the world aren't happening on social media. They're happening behind it.